Don't humbug me.
Don't humbug me. Nice.
That's it.
I would say mine is me able.
My own is morning.
Morning. Morning, everybody. I'm here today to introduce today's episode with Soualigan Slangs. Now, me able to give all the details up front, so don't humbug me. Make sure you listen to the whole episode so you could meet this dynamic team with three young people named Joy, Jackie, and Guillame, and they're going to give it to you straight. They're going to give it to you just so how they are putting Martin English, these Soualigan slangs on the map, and you don't want to miss it. So stay tuned. All you gotta do is sit back and listen, and at the end of the episode, I'll come back and tell you a little bit about what we learned and what I think about it. Okay? Welcome to the Linguistic Aisle.
Mine is English.
My mother tongue is also English.
My mother tongue is also English.
Ooh, I think three.
Okay.
Like 3.5.
Okay.
What are
Yeah,
they?
English, French, Creole, Puerto Creole, and a little bit of Spanish. A little bit.
I speak two languages fluently, which are English and French. I understand Spanish more than I can speak it, but I'm not very confident. And then the same for Creole as well.
So, French and English, and Creole, Guadeloupean Creole.
Every day. I live in France, so I have to say it in English in my head and translate it until it comes out my mouth. Every day.
How do you code switch?
So I work on the French side. My mother tongue being English, I have to speak French. And sometimes even with clients, I go from speaking my St. Martin regional English to speaking proper standard English, as you commonly say.
Yeah, so I also have to deal with clients in French, English, and my St. Martin English is mostly with the family and friends.
Well, since I'm a teacher, when my students get me upset, I start to speak some Martin English. They're like, mais c'est quoi ça, madame? And I have to explain them in French what I just said in English.
A funny story, when I was studying in France, in English class, we often had to present in English. And I think the same thing with you, I got upset and I actually ended up speaking in St. Martin, with my St. Martin accent. With St. Martin words. And the teacher was like, you speak another language? I was like, no, that's English. And in my head, I was like, no, that's English. And my classmates did not understand, and I had to take it back and explain to them that in St. Martin, we have words that we only speak on the island.
So you have to translate from English to English.
To English, yeah, from English to English.
Yeah, I would say my funniest story was when I had to translate from English St. Martin to the proper English. It was when my time I was working at a hotel. I spent many years in France, and the only time I used to speak proper English was rare. So I lost all my notions of the proper English. So when I started working as a receptionist, I couldn't say like either can't remember the English word, but it was something simple. I lost the proper English, so I tried saying it in St. Martin English, and like big bubbly eyes, like what am I saying?
My name is Jackie Warner, and I always held my language high, also my culture, and also where I came from. We are not from Guadeloupe, just like to say out there. We're from St. Martin. It's a different island, a different culture, and I would just like to put out there.
And tell us what do you do? What's your career?
Oh, sorry, I'm a teacher in high school. Yeah, high school.
Science teacher.
A science teacher in high school that lives in France currently.
My name is Joy Carty. I'm a project manager. And so I was raised with a mother who is a teacher, and she saw the difficulties, I believe, that some certain students in her classes would have with reading and writing. So she emphasized on us reading books with proper English, and also us speaking the standard English, because in her mind it was you will write the way you speak. Therefore, you need to practice speaking proper English using the proper grammatical terms, the proper pronunciation, etc. And so I grew up speaking very proper English. In my English classes, I was always one of the top, etc. However, as I was growing up and I went away to study, I realized, like, around me, the other Caribbean islands, the students that were in my classes, they had like things that they would be proud of where they came from, and I was not in search because I knew, but I didn't have that pride that Jackie spoke of. I was always proud of coming from St. Martin, but it was missing something for me. And then I did my end of year thesis in my master's degree, that I focused on culture and the importance of including the local population in the culture, the development plan culturally for an island or a place. And with that research, I fell in love with my island. I fell in love again with who we are, our identity, being able to look more deeply into it, and then understanding that, hey, the way I speak, it's nothing to actually be ashamed of, but it's actually something that I should be proud of. It's something that should be put forward. And I think today there's nothing in the world that would stop me from speaking the way we talk in St. Martin.
Just so.
So my name is Guillame Gumbs. I am an entrepreneur. So I work for myself. I am very proud of where I come from and St. Martin, the St. Martin richness, most of the language, because I noticed that when I moved abroad to Europe, to France, and like I was saying just now, they couldn't understand. Even though the French, I would say, excel in languages. Well, they think they do. But I could be anywhere, like in a supermarket, and my brother called me, and we start talking St. Martin English. Like, somebody used to tap me on my shoulder, like, was that English? Like, what was that you were speaking?
Yes,
I said it was, and to me, I say St. English. Because if I say St. Martin English, then I want to explain the whole way it's situated on the map, etc. But I like that difference, proud of it, of the fact that we are different, even compared to the other islands. And also, like I said just now, the richness of how we can say things, the different meanings of one same word. Like, so we have, well, morning is straightforward. But what a thing, are you Lord? All depending on the intonation, the way we say it, the facial expression. And yeah, let me stop it right there.
You always felt that way, or was there something that made you change your joint?
The thing is, like I said just now, my native language was English. Okay? And afterward is my mother who taught me French. Because my mother was a librarian, and like how Joy was saying, I was always in the bibliothèque, the library, I should say, reading books. So I was always surrounded by lecture books. And my mother, the thing is, when my mother used to talk to us in French or English, we had to answer her in that language. Because I had a habit of her answering me in French and used to talk back to her in English. So that's a way also for her to teach us that, well, if she talk to me in English, us, because we have to answer back in that same language. And that's how I learned well, the two, English and French mostly.
I myself anglophone. Why? Because both of my parents are from the British Islands, like Dominica and St. Kitts. So at home it was only English. I started learning French at school, and even there we was mostly speaking English because my teachers were Saint Martiners. So and up until how do you say Sam do in English?
CM2 is 5th grade.
Fifth grade. So up until fifth grade, I always had English teachers. So Saint Martin teachers. So she would help me like understand what they're asking me in French, but she would translate it in English for me to understand. And because of that, I was always top of my class because it was the fact of not understanding what they was asking me in French that was stopping me from doing the exercise. So she would translate it for me in English and French. And is when I reached in college, which is junior high school, that's when I started having only Guadeloupean and France teachers. So I had to speak French a lot. And that's where the issues became during school was because it was complicated. The French was really, how to say that in English?
Say it in French.
C'était incompréhensible.
Okay, you had it.
Yeah, so it's incomprehensible. And then when I reached France, it was another situation because like they couldn't speak English at all. So I had to find a way to switch between both languages, and then that's why I learned the method of translating what I wanted to say, like speak it in English in my head, and then translate it in my head, and then speak it in French. And that was a whole mechanism. And then after 10 years,
It's automatic.
automatic. I don't even realize they're doing it. So I will start off already by saying people in France do not know their geography.
Yeah.
So they don't even, en fait, when I came up to France, my experience going to France in 2010, I would say I come from Saint Martin. They would ask me which part in Africa. So then I had to learn too. So then I would explain to them that it's in the dom-tom, what we call in French, and they would say, okay, where is it, in Guadeloupe or Martinique? And I would explain to them, no, it's not in Guadeloupe or Martinique, it's a whole separate island. It's called Saint Martin. Or is it next to Saint Bart's?
Yeah, they know Saint Barts.
They know Saint
Guadeloupe.
Bart's, they do not know Saint Martin. I said, do you know you need to go to Saint Martin to reach to Saint Bart's?
Yeah.
So, so I had to teach my friends where on the deja vu. We wasn't even on a map. They had Guadeloupe, Martinique, and Anguilla, but they didn't have Saint Martin on the map. So that was another whole teaching lesson for them. And then when I do speak English, they would think I come from Jamaica. So that was a whole nother teaching. I was like, no, we're not Jamaicans. Every island have their own patois. Jamaican have their own patois. We have our own. I would have to call it patois for them to understand. Because when they used to call it English, they would tell me that it's not English. For them, English is only British English or American English. And I was like, there are different ways of speaking English with a different accent. So I would have to explain that, and I think over the years, I got how to explain to them where I come from, why do we speak that way, because they didn't understand. And also I used to get the question, are you French? Because they would ask, why do we speak English in Saint Martin? And I would have to explain to them how we work, like how our history on Saint Martin, we don't have the same history as Guadeloupe and Martinique. We have different nations that came to Saint Martin. Like I said, my mother's from St. Kitts, my father from Dominica. Hence, my mother tongue is English. And they didn't understand that, so they would say, but, so if you French, they wasn't understanding why I have a French nationality and speaking English. So that was a little, up to this present, they don't really understand why do we speak English and we are French.
So now do you find that makes us unique, or is it causing us to just get over?
Already the fact that we are a small island divided by into two countries, that makes us unique. The fact that all of us speak on one accord, meaning we English, that makes us unique. Everyone that visited St. Martin says that the first island that they ever visit with Like he was saying, a cultural richness that we have that a lot of islands do not have. And that's our main goal as Soualigan Slang, is to bring it forth.
Yes.
Do you consider yourself anglophone or francophone?
I am definitely anglophone. I'm English.
She's a different anglophone.
I'm anglophone. For people who may have a doubt, I'm anglophone. Yes, definitely.
How difficult do you find it is to feel recognized being anglophone in the French state?
For me, my experience with being recognized as being anglophone, already my name is an English name. Many times when I applied for jobs, people thought I was British, Joy Carty. And then when I showed up for jobs, like, okay, maybe it's an African person living in England that picked up an English last name, and then I would have to say, no, I'm French, but I'm from the Caribbean, and at the same time I am English background. Okay, because your mother is from England. Well, my mother is from Dominica, which is a Commonwealth island, so she does speak English, but no, I'm not English from England. Okay, but you're French. So that's the whole mechanism of understanding where you come from and why you speak the way you speak, or why you think the way you think, has been a journey in terms of explaining people who I am and why I think the way I think. Because, like Jackie, my experience with learning the language or expressing myself in both languages, I didn't have English speaking teachers throughout primary education. We were in junior high together and high school together, so I had the same teachers at that point. So my entire childhood, in terms of education, it was difficulties in expressing yourself. You know the answer, but you're not putting it down properly, or too many mistakes in terms of grammatical errors, the le and the la. For me, it's duh and that's it. And then things that may sound feminine in my mind, but and actually it's not feminine, it's masculine. So that has, and up to today, it's still a process. But moving to France back in 2011 made a huge difference in my French speaking, because putting yourself in a classroom where already nobody knows where you come from, so ain't nobody can help you or translate for you, even if you wanted to, or you have, like, here, even if our teachers were French, between us in the classroom, we would still speak English, you know. Up there, you had to, if you wanted to ask your classmate for a pencil, you had to say it in French. You go to the supermarket. I remember a joke. My brother went to the supermarket to look for hair conditioner. And he's in the supermarket asking the lady for conditioner, and because shampoo is shampoing, conditioner is après shampoing. But he's asking this lady for conditioner, and he's calling me on the phone, Joy, they don't have no conditioner. And I'm like, what do you mean they don't have no conditioner in the shop? He's like, just looking at, and he said, but I asked all the people for conditioner and they don't have it. It's like, what did you ask them for? He's like, conditioner. And I was like, no, Isaac, it's called après shampoing in French. And he's like, what? Like, why, who came up with that bright idea? Like, I just asking the people for conditioner. So, you know, little details like that makes our experience abroad and being accepted in a world where you have to conform to their way of doing things. And that also reminds me of Canada. Canada is Quebec is a bilingual place where everything is written in French and in English, everything. So I kind of found myself in a kind of Saint Martin vibe where the signs is English and French. If I don't understand it in one language, I'll definitely get it in the other. In France, I didn't really have that experience. So in the French territories, I didn't have that experience. And Saint Martin for me is the only French territory where you have that openness, that melting potness, where people from all over the world can just show up and feel at home, because we welcome everybody. My mother is from Dominica, my father is from St. Martin, I have family from Anguilla, you know, so we have that openness where we welcome already. We welcomed our ancestors already here, where we come from, our roots. And today we're all living here in harmony, and that makes St. Martin the unique and special place that it is. So for me, I appreciate today, in hindsight, I appreciate today being raised in the environment that I was raised in, because no matter where I go in the world, I feel like I would be able to adapt myself to the language that is being spoken to, and I would be more comprehensible to persons who may not understand who I mean, and make that little special effort, to try to blend in to their linguistic culture.
Tough act to follow, huh?
Exactly.
It's always like
Consider yourself anglophone or francophone?
Anglophone. I consider myself anglophone. Why? Well, first of all, my parents are from both sides of the island. Well, my father from the Dutch and my mother from the French. I had difficulties to come on your second question. From young, just to have an insight, I've been through 3 educational systems. So, American, Dutch, and lastly French. So until I was 6, 7, I was only speaking English. I was native speaker until I transitioned to the French system for different reasons. So when reaching in the French system now, I had to adapt, knowing that I wasn't speaking French at all. And that's why I said previously my mother was one who taught me French. I had difficulties, and I would say up till now, I did all my since 7 my educational system in the French, and in 2007 I transitioned and I left for France, for Europe, to continue my studies. That was joy. That was an experience because you only had to speak French. You only had classmates who were speaking French. They apply certain notions that you have to go in the dictionary to look it up, because and expressions they used to use. So the French took it to another level, and it was beneficial for me also because I spent 14 years in France, okay, and it's been beneficial because it forced me. It's like when you say, if you want to learn a language, you go to that language, the country, and you're good. You learn quicker. Immersion. So to come back to your second question, I think English in the French system, mostly in France, is a plus. A plus, why? Because I think in the French system could be any job. I'm talking about job. The more languages you speak, the more they see you as an asset. And the thing is, St. Martin already has a richness in linguistically. That I have a lot of friends that speak 3 languages, French, English, and Spanish fluently. I say, but if you go in France or maybe any other country, you'll be good. You'll be set in a way that you'll be on top of the candidates for that post or that position, and you could make it in that sense. You just need the volonté, the will to just go with it. And so to come back to the fact, English for me is, like I said, is a richness anywhere you go, because we have this capacity of understanding, adapting to anything that we hear, anything, any kind of language, any kind of English, even French or Spanish, because from young, the fact that you speak multiple languages already from young is easier to understand Canadian, to catch on the other languages. Okay? So, and one thing I want to point out also, is, like Jackie was saying,
The process
the
of
process.
the process.
After it's not the same as Jack, but maybe at the beginning when I was younger, but is you do it automatically. You could be, I could be on the sofa like home watching TV. It could pass from French to English,
And you don't
you don't realize.
realize.
It's just like they were speaking English or French just now.
Yes.
It's like you don't catch on, you just understand.
Yeah,
Like,
you
yeah, you don't have no filter,
And that's when you realize.
and that's when you realize is
You
yeah,
live
like,
too long in the country.
yeah. Yeah.
Guys, okay. Now tell me, wasn't that fun getting to meet the team from Soualigan Slangs? Make sure you tune in next week when we're going to learn more about their business and what they're doing. And they're going to give us some language learning tips as well too, which brings us to our word bank section of the episode. So you might have noticed if you were paying attention this episode that because they're bilingual, we are using French and English terms all in between. So I picked a couple so that we could discuss. So let's do the French terms first. A lot of times you might notice that they would you say en fait. And en fait means, I would say, literally in fact, or you could use it to mean like actually. So when you're learning French, there's a lot of, they call them false, oh man, I can't remember the term right now, but like false relatives. So words that look the same and you think they mean the same thing, but they don't. So a lot of people who speak English might think that the way to say actually is like actuellement, but that's not the way you would say it. If you want to say like actually or like in fact is this, you would say en fait. So that's en fait. You might have heard déjà, and déjà you might notice in English because we use the expression déjà vu, like something already seen. So déjà means already. And the last word that was used was volonté, which is like your will, the will to do something, volonté. Now let's move over to some of the Soualigan slang expressions. The episode started with it. You heard don't humbug me. So don't humbug me is something you can tell somebody when they are bothering you or doing something to get under your skin, gets on your nerves. Don't irritate me. Don't do that. Don't humbug me. The second word or Soualigan slang that was used was morning, and that's just our way of saying good morning. Very colloquial term, morning. That's a very local way of saying that. The third one is me able. So mean able, in this sense, we use me replaces I. So that's the subject, me. Mean able, so it means me ain't able. So like I ain't able, me, but instead we say me ain't able, but we put it together, mean able. I'm not able. I can't deal with this. Okay, I can't deal with this right now. I'm not able. I can't deal with it. Me able for whatever the situation is. No, I didn't get my definitions from Soualigan Slangs. I said, let me use my Soualigan knowledge and give my best shot at these answers. So you make sure you log in with them, you follow them on all their social media platforms, get you a shirt, get you some merchandise, and see if the expressions from them match up, and if they're the same, they may have a more eloquent way of saying it because they've definitely done their research. And make sure you tune in next week to hear the rest and learn more about Soualigan slangs. See you next time on the Linguistic Aisle. Ciao!